Good evening. Thank you, Susan. I'm very pleased to introduce to you tonight my friend and former colleague, Omar Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed was born in 1952 in Jamame, also known as Margarita, a town in southern Somalia. He was educated in Kismayo for high school and in Mogadishu for his university degree in English education. Even then, he was well known for his playwriting, songwriting, and poetry skills. During the 1980s, Omar worked in curriculum development for the National Ministry of Education. In that capacity, he did coursework in Nigeria, in fact, a mere stone's throw from where I myself was at that time. Yet, we had to wait until 2001 for our paths to cross here in Lewiston. Neither of us could have guessed our fates. In Lewiston, Omar Ahmed was employed by City Hall and served as an important community leader through the infamous incident known locally as the Mayor's Letter. During that busy time, he still managed to complete his master's degree in leadership and organizational studies at USM LAC, down the street. Then suddenly, in 2008, he decided to join his family in Tempe, Arizona. Those of us left behind in LA miss his wise counsel. Throughout his world's travels, Omar Ahmed has been a wordsmith, poet, playwright, and novelist. Some of you may recall the local performance for large crowds of his play Love in Cactus Village, sponsored by LA Arts and the Community Little Theater. He tells me he is now at work turning another of his plays, The Flower and Flames of Turda, into a novel. Before we hear from Omar himself, just a word for those unfamiliar with Somali verse. Poetry is by far the most elaborated, celebrated, and most respected art form in Somali society. In fact, I find the following phrase oft repeated in the literature, quote, "Somalia is a nation of bards," unquote. Politically persuasive and powerful, designed to influence opinion, poetry was always serious business in Somalia. In this sense, it must be seen as most akin to broadcasting in American society, and even punditry in the good sense of the term. The formal structure of Somali poetry is very, very, very strict. Theorists suggest these rigid forms aided transmission in a strictly oral culture. After all, Somali was formalized as a written language in 1972, when both Omar and I, and some of you, were already adults. Particular meters are obligatory. We'll hear that tonight. Repetition is de rigueur. We'll hear that as well. And slow intonation, indispensable. But by far, the most compulsory of all is a rigid rule of alliteration. As you listen tonight, remember, not the final sound, rhyme, but rather the initial sound, alliteration, is the hallmark for our poet. Today, we get to hear Omar Ahmed recite his poems, Tolerance and The Peaceful Path. As he said to me earlier this week, in Somalia, everything starts with a poem. Omar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to be here tonight. Habeen wanaagsan. Before I say or read, my poem, I like also to say short, and very concise about Somalia today. Somali people are relatively homogeneous in its ethnic composition. They are traditionally organized into clans, sub-clans, known as clan lineage. Each clan or sub-clan has a social structure with traditional rules that govern its interaction and confrontation with other Somali clans. Long conflicts and civil wars, Somalia has been without an effective government since 1991, after the military regime was ousted. Since then, various warring factions have been fighting for control of the country. The recent wars have no end in sight, but instead have worsened. The current situation in Somalia has been called the greatest humanitarian crisis in Africa and in the world. Political violence has displaced over 1.5 million Somalis internally and more than 500,000 refugees in neighboring countries. I cited this from Human Security Gateway in Vancouver, Canada, journal. As in most wars, the main victims are not soldiers or militia, but innocent, defenseless people in the cities, and most they are children, women, elderly, and disabled people. Most of the victims die before they receive emergency assistance, if there is one. There are no schools, no hospitals. Most people are living in a poor and degrading conditions on makeshift sites in the capital city of Mogadishu, Somalia. As a result of the most recent fighting in Somalia, it's believed that over or about 1 million people were killed mercilessly. Many others died for famine or disease. That's uncountable. The lack of true reconciliation between rival factions and continuing intolerance between various opposing groups have led the once peaceful Somalia into chaos and anarchy, including piracy. Setting in the context of such a situation, my poem aims to concisely describe the need for tolerance and reconciliation and desire for ending of vengeance acts, because these feelings and actions have weakened Somalia terribly.